All right, I'm going to do an in-sickness essay. I haven't done one of these in a really long time, but I actually just wrote this one, and because I've had so many medical appointments lately. I mean, just appointment after appointment after appointment, and in the future, I'm going to have appointment after appointment after appointment, and I'm just being bludgeoned by the most insensitive cliches over and over and over, and so that's what I wrote about, and I have a prop for this one, and the theme is things people should never say to chronically ill people. So let me share my screen. In Sickness, November 16th, 2024, what not to say to the chronically ill. I've been sick for a long time, nearly a fifth of my life, which means about a fifth of my conversations have happened while ill. It didn't take me that long to notice some patterns in the way healthy people speak to the ailing. For example, when our pain and panic are belittled with anyone could get hit by a bus tomorrow, the speakers usually think they're saying something original. But the number of times I've heard that exact line has 4 digits. While it might be the most common cliche the ignorant use to insult the sick, there are others that are just as obnoxious. I'll characterize a few of them here. The first is the most bizarre. It's a comment I've heard from perhaps a dozen members of my community. The second is the most predictable. Aside from, "What brings you in today?" It's the most frequent sentence spoken to me by physicians. And then there's the third. This is the worst, the cruelest of them all. It's meaner than the bus dismissal and nearly as common among physician and civilian alike. Number 1, "You're so lucky." That's what a surprising number of people have said to me upon discovering I was on medical leave. I said the first time I heard this, taken aback, way aback by the accusation. Then I gathered up some of my wits and addressed my accuser. "This is the least lucky thing that has ever happened to me." "I don't know," she said in 2 tones. "Sounds a lot better than having to work." Further aback I went, so far back that my heart took notice, hardening and hastening its beat. Then my lungs took notice, each breath heaving half the room's air. Finally, I spoke, or more accurately, I barked. "I'm not on vacation." Surprised by my own volume, I restrained my voice to a growl and explained that I was in excruciating pain, incapacitated, unable to work at all. Every moment of my life was defined by suffering and filled with medical appointments, like an endless procession of doctors passing by, hurriedly and inattentively, issuing massive bills and offering no avail in exchange. And every other serviceable moment was spent on equally availless day-long phone calls with insurance employees whose job it was to deny fair coverage. "It takes all the strength I have to not die or file for bankruptcy," my growling concluded. But she wasn't paying attention. She was too focused on her fingernails. They looked newly painted. I did not become a murderer that day, but I felt a sense of compassion for those who do. After that conversation, many more people accused me of being lucky. To each of them, I simply shrugged and then smiled and nurtured a deep, invisible hatred. Number 2, let's watch it. This is what nearly every physician says to me in nearly every appointment after looking at bad test results. Let's watch it. "What do you mean, watch it?" My curiosity seethes, but I never say aloud, because that would violate the first commandment in the most widely practiced religion in America. "Thou shalt not question the physician's authority." In the 21st century, we all subscribe to a polytheism in which doctors are deities, patients are peasants, and the penalty for apostasy is death. Prayer is not a substitute for insulin. Catechism doesn't immunize. Baptism has no antibiotic properties. Communion treats no one's asthma. And confession is not chemotherapy. Our survival depends on our subscription to this faith, and violation of the first commandment is a sin so egregious the sinner risks excommunication. You're free to speak with nurses, technicians, and social workers however you choose, but be careful in your interactions with the divine. How can you distinguish the deities from their underlings in a holy house of healing? Easy. Only divinity wears the holy emblem as a necklace, the stethoscope. It's every bit as sacred a symbol as the crucifix. Just look at their portraits. No patient anywhere, yet the necklace is on display. Even chiropractors have taken to wearing them when pictured. But they're false prophets, so there's no risk in treating them with contempt or honesty. It is only to physicians that we must remain as meek as Moses, as obedient as Abraham, as obsequious and evangelical as John, and as patient and resilient as Job. That's why when his or her holiness tells me, let's watch it, I just say, thank you. We both know nothing is going to be watched, or thought about, or even remembered. The instant I leave exam room 2, I'll be extinguished from the physician's recollection. Until I re-enter that same room for our next appointment a few months later with the same condition. Only now it's worse, much worse, because I wasn't properly treated last time. And when His Holy Eminence, Saint Doctor of Nephrology, or Cardiology, or Neurology, or Pulmonology, or Rheumatology asks me, what brings you in today? I will once again explain to him who I am and why I'm there, because he forgot. Because I'm just another leper in the crowd. The desperation of my pleas will always fall on deaf ears. But that doesn't mean he offers no consolation. He does promise to aim his omniscience at me after I leave. Let's watch it. Number 3. This is what a sick person looks like, spoken in a skeptical tone. Sometimes it's phrased differently. I don't see anything wrong, or you look healthy to me. Regardless of how it's expressed, this is the ugliest and most foolish sentence of them all. And doctors and community members who have never experienced illness for themselves say it all the time. If your body composition isn't grotesque, and your skin isn't pallid and laced with open wounds, your suffering is denied at a glance. But unless the glancer has MRI vision that I'm unaware of, I'm baffled by their assessment. I've seen people with metastatic cancer that look fine. People on dialysis that look fine. People with AIDS that look fine. But each of those fines is based on body mass index and skin color and nothing else. So it would take an extraordinary scumbag to deny the suffering of those patients because they look healthy to me. It always surprises me when anyone fails to grasp this seemingly obvious fact. But when the failure belongs to a physician, I'm stunned. Isn't comprehensive patient evaluation half the job? And doesn't that include blood work, imaging, and lub-dub sounds on the holy stethoscope? But beyond that, you'd think by the time they pass their boards, these pseudo-deities would have known at least one person who died. And you know who looks the most striking and vibrant of anyone at a funeral? The corpse in the casket. They're dressed better than they ever were in life. Their posture is perfect. Their cheeks are rosy. Their expression is stoic. That is what a dead person looks like, the eulogist says in a skeptical tone. That's right, it is. And you know what else? They don't have to go to work today. So lucky. All right, that's it. I hope your experiences, when you're, beset by people with stethoscopes and just in your community, your neighbors and colleagues and peers and friends and family, don't bludgeon you with all of these insensitive cliches. You hear the same thing over and over and over and over and over, and it just gets worse every single time. The first time you hear it, you sort of shrug. The second time you hear it, it's worse. The third time, it's even worse than that. And so I hope your social environment, you've sort of been inoculated from that now and in the future. You just have compassionate people all around. So I'll see you next time.